Hey, welcome back to this mini lecture. My name is Dino, and this one is on hyper reality. This is a picture of Nick Sandman, teenager on the left, and Nathan Phillips on the right. Left wearing the person on the left is wearing a mega hat. The one on the right is a Native American. Um, Hyperreality. I like to define terms before we go into these things too deeply. Hyperreality is the generation by models of a real without origin or reality. So it's like having something that's new, this model that again is divorced from the physical world, original, a reality. Um, the era of simulation is inaugurated by liquidation of all referentials. Worse, with our artificial resurrection in the system of signs, material more malleable than meaning. So, this is done. These quotes are by Jean Baudrillard, and I'll add his name at the bottom in a few seconds. Um, I would be argued that in our current world, we're in an era of simulations where we don't really have references as much as we would have in the past. We're largely in a system of science, and then the thing with the have a sign as opposed to the reality is that you can change the sign much more easily, and you can change the meaning of the sign much more easily. It is no longer a question of imitation or duplication or even parody. Substituting the signs of the real for the real, let us say, of an operation of deterring every real process. And a referent is the thing that a word or phrase denotes or stands for. Substituting the signs of the real for the real. So it's like the sign becomes the reality. It's substituted for the reality. And I'll give you these examples as you see me waiting patiently. There's these images on the right. In the upper right, I talked about this before in a different lecture. It's the president in a suit, looking really powerful, very high status, in a high status room with rugs, candelabra to the left, big table, nice furniture, ornate furniture. That's part of it. And then that's one meaning of it, one part of it. And you could also see from more of a low status, simple way. It's just a guy in front of some food. There's some fast food in front. People remember the sign. Some people snickered at it because it's this combination of high and low status. And the photo got a lot of play. But what's really the reality of that? It's the president was hosting the Clemson Tigers winning NCAA football championship. We often are so enamored by the image we forget the actual reality below it. That's a recurring theme for the next couple of images. On the left, again, on the middle right, wearing the mega hat, is the teenager Nick Sandman. On the right is Nathan Phillips, a Native American. There was a number of rallies at the Lincoln Memorial area. They were there for various reasons. They kind of met up over the day, and then it seemed to be this kind of standoff. Very few people were there. Very few people know the reality of it. Just again, there's just a couple of rallies there. Instead of actually knowing the story about it, I don't know if most people could even identify where it was, who these people are, etc., etc. Instead of the reality, what was going on there, people don't they completely forget about it. They just remember the symbol or this sign of if you support the president, a strong kid facing up to someone else. If you are not as enamored with the president, you might think that the man on the right is instigating something with the kid because it looks like he might be yelling something because his mouth is open. And again, I'm trying not to be political. I'm just giving examples. And then on the bottom right, it's a picture of a number of women at the State of the Union address wearing white as a sort of a gender equality symbol. It was based on suffragette movement. If you just saw the symbol, this photo, which become a symbol, which is a sign, you just go, it's a bunch of women cheering. And if you know a little bit more, it's about these women, State of the Union, making a strong stand. They were at the State of the Union, which means that the president spoke for I definitely over an hour, maybe around 90 minutes. If you ask people, what did he talk about that night, etc., the actual quality of the speech, it gets eclipsed by this symbol, this sign, this photo. We've substituted the signs of the real for the real. And then, if you're not into politics, which many of you aren't, again, these are just symbols that are popular that people know about. And because politics are so big these days, they're ones that are pretty readily out there. Technology has enabled hyperreality to definitely transcend politics. I'll give you a bunch of examples. Before, you know, back in the good old days, like 15, 20 years ago, we just had, we were just social with one another. We would just go out for brunch, hang out, do things together. Now, instead of doing that, we're in a symbol of signs and images on social media. We hang out more with our friends through Facebook posts, Facebook messages, Facebook photos, or Instagram photos. So we substituted in a lot of ways the reality, social, for social media. Similar to social, we have a real life. Every day we get up, we have our cocoa, go to work, take the subway, work, go home, study, etc. We have substituted this life, this real life, for a virtual life, such as in Second Life, where we have avatars, digital avatars in digital scenarios, having their own lives, and we manipulate them. So it's kind of some of us have substituted our real life for our virtual life. Before photos, even the third example, we had just again regular life. Then we had mechanical devices like photo cameras taking photos. Then we began to take selfies, so pictures of ourselves with digital cameras. It's more of a recent phenomenon. Now it's even gotten so far in terms of hyperreality that people are taking video game selfies in PlayStation, etc. So people are playing within the game, their avatars. They can take photos of their avatars within a beautiful game setting. So again, we've kind of transcended photographing, say, a beautiful landscape to shooting a photograph of a landscape within a video game. Again, more of a hyperreality. And then along that same line is this idea of the inversion, and that's the idea that there's so much bot traffic, like computer-generated traffic in hyperspace and on the internet, that when algorithms decide what is real and what's not real, there's so much artificial bot traffic that's greater than human traffic. So it's like algorithms, which were once meant to curate human decision making, human choices on the internet, has now been eclipsed by bot traffic. A couple of other quotes that are related to this: "Images are the new reality," as Zizek said in 2010. It goes along with this idea of Baudrillard and hyperreality and the predominance of signs and symbols. And the quote below that: "Cyberspace is a black hole that absorbs energy and personality, and then represents it as a spectacle." So again, this is almost the cyberspace, or you could substitute social media. It absorbs through our postings and our rants, our photos, our videos, our energy of our human life, the energy and the dynamism of our personality, and it represents it online through social media posts and platforms. It's as a form of spectacle, something we can see and look at. So again, it's kind of like this hyperreality of ourselves. Before we finish up, there's a real dose of hyperreality. Ukraine president. Does anyone, if you're watching, could you think of the Ukraine president's job before becoming president? And this is in the era like 2018 to 2020, around that area, 2019 to 2020. Volodymyr Zelensky, a comedian, who had seated the incumbent in the Ukraine's presidential election, and is, as of the taping of this video, Ukraine's presidential president. Before he was the president, he was a comedian, and he was on a television show where he was playing the president as a comedian. So it's like the image of a guy playing president eventually becomes reality of a real president. So just some hyperreality in real life. Thanks a lot for that. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.